This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got rid of the outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson! Anderson's up to
Oh my God!
Oh.
Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get rolled!
Second very close. These guys are going to want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, here we go! Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my God!
God, what?
Welcome to a new season of Ozicar Formula Skip Barber Series, and we're at a new track too. Knockhill International Circuit. It's going to be very good for what's been one of the longest running and most competitive categories in Ozicar with the Skip Barber. So, 12th season, and it all starts here at Knockhill Racing Circuit. David Haynes here, joined by Jason Fewens. Jason, we got a lot of returning names. I see one or two new ones, and I see absolutely no reason this won't be as competitive and as exciting as past seasons.
Yeah, the Skip Barbers are back again here in Fife, Scotland, which is on the east coast of Scotland, way up north. So good to have a whole heap of new drivers here with us today. We are missing a few that we have seen from previous seasons, but that's not to say the competition here for season 12 of the World Cup is going to be any different than it has been in the past. These Skip Barbers are renowned for producing some amazing racing, and with the track layout we've got this season, it is guaranteed to be an absolute showstopper.
I dare say everyone you see in this shot should probably put a jacket on because it's Scotland. You don't see that many exposed shoulders, but getting into the season and into the racing, it's our typical format for tonight's racing. We've got the two races. We've got solo qualifying underway right now, and we see time and time again with the point structure in Ozicar how important it is to be consistent at every race, at every round, if you're going to put together a championship. This is what the season looks like, starting here at Knockhill before Daytona Moto layout. That's one that doesn't get a whole lot of love. We'll check that out next week. Watkins, Hungaroring, Twin Ring Motegi, and the Nordschleifer. Very, very interesting circuits for season 12. Qualifying's wrapped up, so it's time to look to the grid for race number 1. Alex John on the front row with Cam Dance. Good qualifying there for Darren Toon and Ben Snell. John Schultz and Russell Clark, 5th and 6th on the grid. You're seeing sub 1 minute lap times around this very short, barely 2 kilometre layout of Knockhill International, but it's a great club racing circuit for this kind of car. Got Brody Cook, Neil Gardner, Sean Doyle, Vasco Sarovsky, Alex McKellar, and Tim Harris for our top 12.
Yeah, Sean McKenzie doing a great job off row number 7 tonight with Braden Sagasar to his right, Matthew Harrier and Jeremy Bush off row number 8. Simon Clayson and Craig Kerman round out row number 9 tonight as we flick through Nathan Burney, Ash Knowles, Dennis Hancock, and a newcomer, Jesse White-Craig, to the grid with car 777. Ira Felberg, Leon Williams make up row 12. We're nearly at the end. John Snell at the back of the grid, which he should come through quite well. And Darren Lassou going to our last to first challenge.
It's a relatively short layout here, but that doesn't mean it's easy. A lot of vertical change, almost more vertical elevation and distance than there is horizontal distance around here, it feels like. And there's some very sharp curves around as well. Almost every corner very challenging. Not last, the final corner here, where again that elevation change makes things difficult. You see a couple of lines through there and see the possibility for drivers to attack in towards turn 1, 2 and 3 where the track drops away very aggressively. They're getting ready to go for race number 1, 15 laps. Pole sitter Alex John away pretty cleanly. Cam Dance seemed to have started on the dirty side of the track. If you took a look at those tyres, it's cold tyres for everyone as they head downhill into a very fast and sweeping turn 1. Track drops away massively. Avoid the curb at 2 and then try to take the best line you can in towards turn 3.
Yeah, the undulation here is going to be really, really difficult. Lots of blind corners, lots of off-camber corners, and you've just got to commit to your line. And from what I've seen during the practice, a lot of these corners really have to be hit with quite a bit of aggression. You get it right, and it's spot on. You get it wrong, and you're in all sorts of trouble.
On board here with Darren Tune. As you see, we've almost completed our first lap. Tune sitting in third, and you're going to see the different lines. Some drivers get really close to that curb, others take it a little bit wider where the elevation is less severe, the camber is less severe, and sometimes you can pick up the throttle earlier there, get a little bit more momentum. That's what we're seeing happen here. Well under pressure from Neil Gardner, I think it is. And you can run too wide through turns 1 and 2 here, but you don't quite want to with these kind of curves with this elevation change. And that was, I think, a good move. Set up pretty early, the end of the lap, and then all the way down the pit straight and in towards 1, 2, and 3. And this sector here, the corners just keep flowing. You've got to be aggressive with the curbing, and I think it might have caught out the driver in front of us, of Brody Cook, as he is one of the many green machines in this series.
Yeah, it definitely is a short little roller coaster of a track, but through sections like we see on our screen right now, the draft benefit is definitely there, particularly into the heavy braking zone, as we look to see what line they're going to take through this last corner here at the moment. Seems to be a quick line on the outside with a very late apex to get that run down the straight, very critical. But going 2 by 2 obviously isn't the quick way around there. Gardner's holding the position as we speak. He's got the inside line for turn number 1.
That's causing all a bit of a stack up here around 8th place. Gardner's just going to hold on to it. I think the inside line looks like the place to be. They're battling behind. You've got Alex McKellar trying to fight his way through the field here. He's the inside. Oh, and there's some contact. Vasco Sarovsky sent around.
Missing a little bit of bodywork there as he reversed into the tyres, but it's not going to be detrimental to his race. He is back on the track now, resuming quite a fair way down the field, so that's going to make things difficult for race number 2 for him. So we jump on board now with the Milo car for the first time for this season 12, sitting currently just inside the top 5 on 4th, as you see on your screen. Looking quite comfortable at the moment in a bit of a train, with a bit of a gap back to 5th at the moment, so the top 4 making a bit of a break this early stage. 4 laps into 15 of race number 1.
Super sideways across the crest there for Darren Tune. A little wide of the apex in turn 1. The track drops away, and that didn't help him turn in whatsoever. And it's kept going on, kept causing some problems for Tune. He's dropped back into 4th. Ben Snell is up into 3rd. This at the lead, though. Dan's starting to put some pressure on Alex John. Run really close together so far in this race. There's only so many places to pass around here because there's only so many corners.
Ira Philberg making his way back onto the circuit there, just on the exit of turn number 2. We'll jump on board, have a look at a virtual racing school replay, see exactly how that whole thing unfolded. We look at Jesse White-Craig at the moment, car 777, one of the new drivers to the series, getting completely crossed up, way too much speed. Takes out a couple of those bollards on the inside, and then we just see Ira out of sympathy going way off the track. That's a long way.
It's following the rallycross layout, either that or he's off in search of some haggis. Maybe a deep-fried Mars bar, who knows. Closing up again at the front, though. Still John from Dance. Ben Snell, after he lost a bit of time having to work his way around Darren Tune, back into the 1 second, so potentially back into the slipstream. It's not super high speeds around here at Knockhill, but you do see the slipstream creating an effect from this corner along the straight up towards that final hairpin, and then also down the pit straight, especially being downhill on the pit straight.
Yeah, very critical. You get a really good drive through here. If you've got someone right on your tail like we see at the moment, you can't afford to take that wide line onto the main straight. You've actually got to hold it quite tight and just not give that person behind you the invitation to stick their nose in. If you've got a little bit of a gap, probably half a second or more, you could probably take a little bit wide and maximise that run onto the straight down through this downhill section here, which makes up turns 1 and 2, and you'll probably pick yourself up a 10th and a half.
Little bit of the gravel trap there for Dance, but it helps him open up the corner a little bit. Again, close to the gravel once again. I think Tune in the background there also really having to use all the track. It's not massively wide around here either.
No, old school track, very much suited for these open wheel cars. But you get some of the bigger vehicles on here, like I've seen quite a few of the GT3 races, and there's not a lot of room to go too wide. So you will get away with it in a series like we see here with the Skip Barbers. Very well suited to this this layout with the change of undulation. Stiff suspension, but these cars tend to ride it pretty well.
I have a feeling like Alex McKellar's been one of our movers. Harriet might be about to be one. It's Tim Harris in front. Use a bit of that pit exit to really open up the line, carry the speed down here, and then through turn 2, you've got to brake quite sharply for turn 3. No moves taking place that time. We did see a couple cars close as they went down the pit straight.
So we're on lap 7 of 15. We are right on our halfway mark. So I don't know whether we'll see any lap cars play part in race number 1 tonight, but I dare say when we come back to race number 2, we have a longer race to present to everyone tonight. So I dare say lap traffic just might play a part in that. So a lot of these drivers will be thinking about where they can possibly set up passes and plan ahead for race number 2.
That line might have been a little too wide. Looking at Nathan Verney and Ash Knowles, teammates battling down the pit straight. Monstering all over the curbs. Alex McKellar's next victim looks like it will be Neil Gardner. Gardner sticking with Brodie Cook there in 7th, and one thing I've seen, Ash Knowles in the wall there, is that here at Knockhill, only a couple corners, the pace difference from the top of the field to the bottom of the field, really, really close. Feels like we've been racing, plenty of laps here, but still, the top 10 covered by 10 seconds. You just look and you see everyone's still all in a line, not really a whole lot of field spread.
Yeah, it definitely seems to be a single line race at the moment, but as the laps count down, a lot of these drivers that are planning to make a championship charge just might have to take a little bit of a gamble, try and force the issue and make it too wide in certain sections, but of course this early in the season, the risk versus reward could be quite detrimental.
Braden Sagasar in the middle here, all over the curbs, all over the gravel, now with Harris right to his rear gearbox there. Also say right to that unspecified container of fluid that hangs off the back of these Skip Barbers for some reason. Things have gotten spicy up at the lead though. Alex Johns still leading, but here comes Ben Snell trying to dive down the inside of Cam Dance, and I think there's been contact potentially. Dance just misses cleaning up Darren Tune as well.
Yeah, brand new paint job for Cam Dance from we've seen from other seasons, so didn't take long to put a scratch on that.
I think Snell's got suspension damage on the front right there. I think it's the front right. He's dropping back a bit as well. Car's not doing what it should, so John leads. Darren Tune, Russell Clark up into 3rd. Let's take a look at how that all unfolded. Battle for 2nd and 3rd in towards the first corner. Snell with a bit of momentum to his side, trying to look down the inside. Dance around the outside. So it'd be the rear of Snell's car that the damage is at.
We go back to live pictures now. 5 to go as they cross the line. We focus on Cam Dance. He's dropped back down the order. So sacrificing a top 5 position, finds himself back in P number 9. So he still sits inside the top 10 at the moment. He is right on the back of Sean Doyle. We haven't spoken about Sean yet tonight. He is a long time Ozicar Skip Barber favourite, particularly amongst the Simspeed viewers out there. So good to see a little bit of airtime for him tonight. Currently up 1 position from where he started. And it does look like the clouds have come over, Dave.
It's a wonder there was any sun at all. But here's Doyle under some pressure from Dance. Really close at the apex there, but I think Dance has just got it. They've got a clump of cars right in front of them as well. Gardner and Cook and McKellar, who has been able to pick off a couple spots, looking for a couple more. Gardner down the inside, holding on to his position, and sometimes potentially set someone up through 1 and 2 to then have a look down the inside of turn 3 there as well.
Battle pack here at the moment. It's 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9 we're looking at on the screen. One little mistake here and it could be disastrous for any one of these drivers. But there's a lot of trust here in the Skip Barber Series here in the Aussie cars. A lot of these drivers have been around each other for quite a while. Into this heavy braking area. Quick look down the inside, car number 73, that's Alex McKellar. Kind of bottles everybody up on the run onto the back straight. Goes for the inside line. I don't know if he's going to get the job done here. Cam Dance is definitely tucked in underneath his rear wing, making the most of that slipstream.
Yeah, McKellar just holds a middle line through turn 1, lets them scrap it out behind him. Bad idea whatsoever. Dance has now got to be careful to try to hold on to his position. Watch, they just monster the curbs there. Giant red curbs they are. Doyle on the attack, looking down the inside of Brodie Cook as you watch from up high. Super wide at Taylor's, the final corner, the final hairpin. And you'd say initially moved on for Sean Doyle there, but Brodie Cook coming back at him. Ben Snell, a lot of speed there as well, and a wily competitor. Brave to try to go around the outside there. It's almost going to work for Doyle, but then again, outside of turn 3. Oh, tough to make that move work, but he holds on.
Yeah, good commitment from Doyle there to hold around the outside of turns 2 and 3. So that pass actually started almost half a lap ago. They carried on down through that roller coaster section of turns 1 and 2. Finally getting the job done. Look back up the front. Battle of the teammates here is 3rd and 4th on the big grid.
And they've got to sort it out quickly because final lap of the race just starting now. Alex John leads the way 2 seconds from Darren Toon. And then that battle we talked about, Russell Clark and John Schultz, and plenty of other battles as well. Here is 3 wide. Ben Snell trying to slot the gap. Brodie Cook to his right. Sean Doyle to his left. And in towards turn 1. He's going to make it stick. And the guys behind him are always going to make contact.
Yeah, we've seen him go 2 wide down that hill, but 3 wide certainly wasn't going to work. So looking at the big picture there, a couple of cut drivers just decided to roll out of it. And the big beneficial out of all that was the Milo car you see in front at the moment, which is not over yet. Still heavy braking zone into the final corner for this little battle pack.
First race of season 12 is going to go to the way of Alex John. Faced up to a lot of pressure, but then some drivers tangled behind him. He takes the first win, and that's a very, very good start. I think he's pretty happy with himself. Darren Toon and Russell Clark aren't going to be disappointed to be rounding out the podium. Neil Gardner's going to hold on against McKellar and Cam Dance. Ben Snell, great move in towards turn 1 late on there. It's going to give him a position. Touch on the way to the line there. Matthew Harriott and Nathan Verney.
As we look back further across the field, they are still battling for position at the moment. Jeremy Bush, might be actually Vasco Savoski as well. Dennis Hancock crossing the line. And that just about wraps up all our drivers on the lead lap out there at the moment. Making their way around, greeting the checkered flag. We'll look at the results.
Absolutely, we will. Alex John, the winner from Darren Toon, and Russell Clark, John Schultz, Neil Gardner, Alex McKellar, Cam Dance, Ben Snell, Sean Doyle, and Brodie Cook. Our top 10 after 15 laps. All of them covered by just 12 seconds there. It is so close here at Knockhill. It doesn't seem like there's much to separate the top of our field from the middle of our field, from the back of our field. The rest of our finishers are Sean McKenzie, Tim Harris, Braden Sagasar, Matthew Harriott, Nathan Verney, Jeremy Bush, Vasco Sorofsky, Dennis Hancock, John Snell, Simon Clayson, and it was Darren Lesueur, Craig Kerman, Leon Williams, Ira Felberg, Jesse White, Carrig, and you saw Ash Knowles into the barrier, looking like our only retirement, only driver off the lead lap as well. Hey, there's your little track map on that particular scenic camera. So, air temperature 19, maybe that is when Scottish people start taking off their shirts, potentially. So that's that's a south-orientated map. That annoys me, but you're on the outside of turn 1 with that view, and you see it drops down. No, now I feel sick, Jay. Oh, stop it. But if you turn the map upside down, then the toilets and the office and the shop and the main gate are going to be upside down too. Oh, no.
Down under.
Do you know what? I think it's best we say 3 minutes until race 2 gets underway. It's going to be a longer race with a compulsory pit stop. We'll take a little break here on Simspeed TV. We'll come back with yet more exciting Ozicar Skip Barber Season 12 action. See you in a minute.
This is iRacing, the world's premier online racing game. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat to experience today's newest form of competitive motorsport, virtual racing, all from your home PC. Race virtually in indoor series from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, the World of Outlaws, Aussie Supercars and more. Take on legendary circuits like Daytona, Silverstone and the Nürburgring. Join iRacing's global online racing community and get on track today at iRacing.com.
Fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got rhythm, both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up top.
Oh my God!
Big crash. Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get rolled.
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh no, that's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God.
God, what?
We're back. We've put Knockhill the correct way up, and we're ready for race 2 this season of Ozicar Skip Barber Series from Knockhill International. Well, what did we make of race number 1, Jason Fewens? Because we saw some really brave passes, but we also saw a little bit of contact, and we saw not easy to make a move around here. Very challenging.
Yeah, one thing I picked up is you've got to be patient. You've really got to make that move stick and be fully committed to the move before it actually happens, and then stick with your game plan, because if you take that bad run out of the bottom corner and that run along the straight, we saw the battles continue right through turns 2, 3 and even up to 4. So it's going to be a little bit interesting to see how the drivers approach race number 2, which we're about to see. It's a 30-lap race in the next 30 minutes, so the laps are just under sub 1 minute lap times. It is very early in the season, but there'll be a couple of drivers out there keen to make their mark, stamp their dominance, and try and make a strong start to Season 12 World Cup Tour.
When did iRacing make these RVs to the left here that aren't just rectangular prisms? They've actually got polygons to them. Actually formed shape. That's interesting.
I was quite impressed with old mate's iRacing singlet down there in the bottom right-hand corner, actually.
Look at that thing. That's got at least 100 triangles. Wow. Yeah, there's some good-looking fans out there, not just on Simspeed. So this is what the grid's going to look like for race number 2 as they finished race number 1, which is very good for Alex John and Darren Tune. Russell Clark, John Schultz, Neil Gardner and Alex McKellar won't be too frustrated with that either. But for Cam Dance and Ben Snell, who ran in contention for the win, they start a little further down than they would have hoped in 7th and 8th. It's Sean Doyle, Brodie Cook, Sean McKenzie, and Tim Harris for the first 6 rows.
Braden Sagasar back off row number 7 tonight with Matthew Harriott, Nathan Verney and Jeremy Bush, 2 partners in crime off row number 8. Vasco Savosky, one of our newcomers tonight. He showed some good speed in practice early on, so watch out for him coming through in race number 2. Dennis Hancock off at row number 9 as well. We scroll through John Snell and Simon Clayson. Darren Lassou up a couple, Craig Kermond, as we get ready for the lights to go green. The revs are rising.
Twice as long as race number 1, compulsory tyre change somewhere in the middle of all of that. That's going to be in the back of the mind. But as they get racing, what's going to be forefront in their mind is track position. It's going to be tyre temperature and about keeping it clean in the early goings of this race. The whole field going to drop down the hill between turns 1 and 2, then sharply on the brakes for turn 3. Not many dives going on here. Everyone relatively calm for the start of this race number 2. To say that, it's Cam Dance first to leave his tyre tracks through the gravel.
Cold tyres, probably take a good lap and a half for these radial tyres to get up to some kind of reasonable temperature where the drivers will start to feel a little bit more comfortable. Taking that traditional tight line through this here as we get a really good look at just how much that last corner rises as they get a run up the straight, climb up the hill across the finish line here to complete number 1 before we duck down and start the downhill run again.
So no change in the top 9 as they run at the moment. Braden Sagas has picked up 2 spots off the start, and almost everyone who's gained many positions is because of spin early from Brodie Cook. He's to the very back of the field and he was running in 10th, I think. So that's elevated some of the drivers behind. Looking from Ben Snell in 8th, and he's still, not far away from the lead. And we often see sometimes you have a good pit stop, sometimes you don't. There's a lot of randomness in that, as well as how the drivers attack the pit in and the pit exit. If the field's going to be this close, and getting that pit stop just perfect is going to be pretty important. Here is Tune getting a little mugged, potentially. Russell Clark's gotten past. John Schultz is lining up to be next. Neil Gardner swapping his line behind as well. That's a very aggressive late on the brakes move from John Schultz to get himself up.
Yeah, very close to running in the back of his teammate there. The bright orange wheels obviously using as a high visibility. Everyone managed to see what he was doing there. A couple of locked-on cars a little bit further back in the grid. This is on board with Nathan Verney as he jumps across these curbs. Really, really aggressive. Bit of a tank slapper, but he manages to catch it. Loses a couple of car lengths on the cars in front. Another big slide. So obviously the tyres have got a lot of temperature in them at the moment, and he's off into the boondocks.
This isn't the commentator's curse, this is the director's curse. Jay put that camera there and suddenly that car super loose for Nathan Verney. He's going to lose a whole bunch of positions given how close the whole field is. Alex John almost breaking away from second on back. This is what it looks like. McKellar side by side there with Snell, I think it was, who's just going to roll out of it. Wait a little bit and bide his time.
So I did see a race here during the week. I said in a GT3 from one of the YouTube presenters, and he pitted quite early and then come across quite a bit of traffic as well. So that's something that drivers might have to contend with tonight. If they decide to pit and dive in relatively early, they could find themselves deep amongst some traffic to contend with. So it'll be interesting to see how people approach the strategy this evening. Jump on board the 1960s
in the final corner. Neil Gardner and Darren Tune tripped over each other a little bit. Cam Dance looks to go around the outside of them, and right in the middle of all of that is Ben Snell. It was a pretty complicated little lap there.
Sean Doyle playing the patient game at the moment at the back of this little group. Nowhere to go, can't go left, can't go right. It's just got to sit tight at the moment while they go too wide in front of him. A little bit of a bump on the inside there as he rides the curb. No time lost up through this left-right sequence of the chicane. Really good run here from Bill.
Someone's all the way off there. Ben Snell went a long way off the track. Doyle taking a look at Gardner. They're too wide every which way. He's doing it again. He's got the Nathan Verney wobbles.
If that wasn't a thing 5 minutes ago, it definitely is now. What it has allowed is a little group in front to make that break. That includes Cam Dance and I think Darren Tune as well. So making a little bit of a break from the cars behind.
And now we've got Clayson and Harriet are the teammates there. Dennis Hancock looking down the inside here. He's going to get at least one of them into turn 1. Could still be the other now as he holds through turn 2, gets the inside for turn 3. There is Nathan Verney trying to also join the feeding frenzy. No, another Seagull looking for a chip. Problems for Braden Sagasar. I think there might have been some damage on there. He's not in the car and it's probably too early for that pit stop window.
So the first time in 3 laps, nobody takes the grass route through that section. So everybody's starting to settle down a little bit now.
It's just a real indictment of grassroots motorsport.
It looks like car 71 on your screen at the moment. Gardner taking the inside down through turn number 1. So scroll back through. Another car in the pits. That's Vasco Sarovsky again after an incident in race number 1. Again, too early to pit, I think, to get home. Had the car up, so obviously taking front tyres.
Yeah, pit stop looked pretty good there as well. About 12 seconds, just all it takes to change those 2 tyres. So I think that's in and done for Sarovsky. See if that pays off, maybe just getting out of some of this traffic and some of these battles. Dennis Hancock's just parked there. Don't see a whole lot of damage, but there might be some. Gonna take a look. Don't know what I'm gonna see. I'm gonna see something for Dennis Hancock. Uber Eats arrived.
Maybe a technical difficulty there just happening. It's very uncharacteristic. We look at him back on the screen now and he's still circulating, not diving for the pits. Whether he had the black screen of death for half a second or whether there was something else going on in the background. But, being very aware of his surroundings, opting to pull off the track, keep out of everybody's way.
Driver looking to pit early, Tim Harris. And his teammates in 2nd and 3rd at the moment. Maybe being caught a little bit, caught half a second on the last lap by Cam Dance in 4th, who's then towing along Tune and McKellar and Ben Snell and Sean Doyle with him. So gotta maybe work together a little bit, or maybe think about pitting early or something here for Clark and Schultz, because they are going to be in trouble if they get caught by this pack.
A couple of very different lines as we spoke about through that last section. Drivers feeling a lot more comfortable now. They've done a handful of laps around here through practice, race 1 and race 2, so they should well and truly know their way around here at the moment, where their braking points are and what the grip levels out there currently should be at. Locked on team there. Tim Harris making the move down the inside with his teammate giving him plenty of room on the outside there. Looks like he's going to dive off into the pits. Hard on the brakes to make sure he slows down before he gets to that yellow cone zone. Ash Knowles diving in, making his compulsory pit stop, moving right to the front of the pit window.
pit lane speed limit 60 kilometers an hour, so transit time would be relatively short, all things considered, for this pit lane here at Knockhill. Dance has started catching this group for second and third. Still only 3 cars that look like they've made their compulsory pit stop on schedule. Everyone else pushing it out a little longer. There's drama. There's a lot of drama. Russell Clark around. Who else? Who's it now?
So that might have been
I think Ashley Knowles had just come out of his pit stop.
Yeah, I think that's what's happened. Cold tyres, not quite up to speed of the cars behind him. It looks like Ashley Knowles hit that inside curve but ran himself wide, and then Russell might have just followed suit. They were well and truly off the track when they made contact with each other. We are on at lap 12 of 30 now. So a lot of these drivers are well and truly ducking into the pits, getting their compulsory pit stop out of the way so they can focus on getting tyre temperature back up. Another car off there in the dirt in the background, manages to gather it back up. Snell-O-Vision taking the sandy route through the chicane there. Not the quickest way through, but certainly spectacular.
I was going to say he's not trying. Here's Alex McKellar looking to pick off Darren Tune. Not completely done, and Schultz from second place. He's going to pit, get away from that group, and then presumably link up with Russell Clark again, potentially. McKellar down the inside of 1, carries a lot more speed than Tune. And Ben Snell is going to try to follow through there as well. He's done that pretty convincingly. Doyle is next to try to gang up on Darren Tune, but I think he's not going to get the chance.
So Neil Gardner with his front of his car up in the air, he's getting ready to exit pit lane. You will see a lot of these drivers as they approach turn number 1 move across into the pit exit lane, so it's something that they've got to be very, very conscious of. Everybody managing to get through there, but a lot of these drivers making the most of that excess tarmac on the left-hand side to get a good run down the hill through turn number 1. So good communication between the drivers is really essential, otherwise it might catch a few out bumping tyres, which is never going to be ideal in these open wheel cars.
From the second place pack, Darren Tune also peels off, looking for his pit stall. I reckon if you're pretty high up the grid, you got quite an acute angle leaving the pit lane there, it would seem. This is Brody Cook and Matthew Harriott, neither of whom have pitted just yet, but there is, I think, one of the white knuckle cars was coming out of pit lane, and there's just sometimes the timing of it is a little difficult.
Looks like our leader at the moment, currently daylight behind him. As you just see the cars duck around that last corner, there's a good 5-second gap back to Cam Dance, currently sitting in second. As I was going to say before, that 1960s Batman or Batmobile inspired car with the red pinstripe looks absolutely brilliant out on track at the moment.
So again, lots of close battles here at Knockhill. One of them was Vernie and Clayson there, and Jesse White-Carrier and John Snell, with Darren Tune, who's just made his pit stop behind them. So it's one of the things that happens. You pit a little bit early, you end up back in some traffic, and I don't think Tune right now is going to be matching the lap times that McKellar and Ben Snell were doing and are doing. They might just overcut him if he can't quickly get around these guys and start lighting up the timing screen.
Through the blind at right-hander, we've seen quite a few cars run off under the sand and onto the grass through that section of the track. Very, very easy to get it wrong. It takes full commitment from the driver's perspective as he tips it in But in that case, everybody getting there quite smoothly, getting the job done and managing to circulate for another lap. Not a lot of downtime for these drivers over the course of the 55-second lap. Don't get it. This is probably the biggest break they get along the main straight, but then it's another 40-odd seconds of just constant concentration.
Past that halfway point of the race now, we can probably start seeing a couple more pit stops trickle along. This is second and third and fourth, all closing up on each other. All things being equal and everyone being consistent with their lines, it's going to pack them up. The way that slipstream works along the pit straight. So Dance not getting away from McKellar, Ben Snell going along with them. Different lines through 1 and 2 and then in towards 3. I think I fancy how precise McKellar was with placing his car up against the curbs in 1 and 2 and then 3.
Yeah, even through that little section there, he was most committed actually riding the curb, which the car looked really, really settled. So he looks very comfortable sitting there at the moment behind Cam Dance. Fastest lap goes to the Milo car on your screen at the moment. Ben Snell.
A hive of activity right now with Brody Cook and Craig Kerman and Jesse White Carrick, 3, 4, maybe 5 cars all in pit lane at the minute. They can all start streaming out. So looks like pretty equal stops all around there. Brody Cook will be ahead of all those who just pitted at the same point as him there. Now down only about 8 cars, I think, that haven't stopped. Includes your leader, second, third, and fourth here. And why would they? Keller gets that line a little bit wrong.
We look across the back of McKellar at the moment. Got Ben Snell tucked in underneath his rear wing. Too early to make a dive and do anything silly at the moment. Just quite happy to sit there at the moment behind the top split TV car. If he does go around him, he's only got Cam Dance to contend with. So, wily old competitor like you mentioned earlier. So, long way to go yet. 12 laps remaining in this 30-lap race.
Is in here. Sean Doyle behind the pace car, safety car. Safety car live like in the middle of pit lane and there are pit stalls past it. That's interesting. Simon Clayson. Uh-oh.
Long pit stop for Clayson, front and rear tyres. So he's definitely throwing an obscure pit strategy out there.
Not sure that one's quite going to pay off for him. He's just rejoining the race now. But he's behind a couple of the drivers he could have been ahead of. Sean Doyle also having stopped relatively recently around the outside of Darren Tune here. New white knuckle livery for this season, it looks like.
Yeah, the boys in the white knuckle garage have been very busy in the off season producing new paints for us to admire.
Yeah, they went and searched Google for flame.png and slapped that on the nose.
John Snell taking his compulsory pit stop, so there couldn't be too many left out on the track at the moment that haven't dove into the pits. Might be a couple, but I'd say most of them have well and truly got their pit stop out of the way. Cam Dance is one of those that hadn't, as he dives in now, very aggressive dive into his pit bay. Front of the car goes up, 2 front tyres come off, 2 fresh radial rubber goes on. And that
Snell's gotten around McKellar as well there, so for second and third and fourth, very important right now that was a good stop for Dance and that he's got a pretty clear track that he's come out into. For Snell, probably also pretty important to have just gotten in front of McKellar, and I'm sure we'll see them pit in a minute there as well. bunch of other cars onto pit entry. Ira Felberg. Zorowski's back on the pit lane again. And I think it's Jeremy Bush who's coming in again as well. So now we're down to just 3 cars that haven't stopped. Alex John, Ben Snell, Alex McKellar. You see Snell and McKellar carry on for another one. So their laps right now compared to Dance is going to be pretty important.
Yeah, I don't think these guys are actually slowing themselves up, but Cam Dance is definitely a front runner who's managed a fastest lap time. If anyone's out there going to throw out the gauntlet, it's definitely going to be car 27 here tonight.
Race 1 winner. Led every lap so far in race number 2 here. What's Alex John going to do? He's going to pit in. 9 laps to go. It's time for him. Presumably, that's going to be his pit box just to the right on that shot. So he's got to go a long way down the lane, past the safety car, and sort of almost into the naughty corner, it looks like. McKellar stops at the same time as well, so same strategy out of the teammates, out of Alex squared. Ben Snell thinks he's got one more left in him. Goes Alex John. I don't think he's going to need to be too worried about his pit stop time, whether it was 10 seconds or 12 seconds or 13 seconds. He was still going to have this one wrap, but it's more important his teammate McKellar there, who is behind Dance as they get racing again, and Dance is going to have them slightly warmer tyres at the minute.
Yeah, effective race leader at the moment. Ben Snell about to complete the lap that he's on, but he does have some lap traffic in front of him, a couple of seconds up the road, so just might be a teammate, so it shouldn't give him too much dramas, but it could also be a really good opportunity to dive into the pits and go for that overcut on the top split team. Looks like a slow entry into pit lane though.
He'll stretch that fuel tank longer than anyone else. There's potential that he stretched it a little too far, but that means everyone has now pitted. Alex John back through into the lead. Dance, McKellar, Snell second, third and fourth, and going that lap longer does not really appear to have benefited Ben Snell much. He had gotten himself in front of McKellar before the pit stops, remember.
So currently sitting about a second and a half off the cars in front, so not really close enough to get any draft benefits. So if he's going to drive to the back of him, he's really got to do it the hard way. If we have a look at Mackenzie and Harris, battle for 8th and 9th at the moment, again riding that red sausage curve on the inside. Harris having a look at the inside of Mackenzie here into this corner. Mackenzie being very gentlemanly light, as Harris uses all the track plus some.
He wasn't shy with that curbing. Now he's not shy getting down the inside, trying to defend or trying to slipstream off some lap traffic as well. Totally different braking zones, totally different lines. Must have been a bit of a lock-up from Harris there, but it doesn't seem to have hurt too bad. With that kind of elevation change, you're almost always going to lock something on the inside with no weight on it.
Back at
So
the front.
McKellar's gone through that cold tyre phase and now able to stick with Dance, which is pretty important, but you can tell that Ben Snell, no such luck, he's even dropped behind John Schultz and took back towards Darren Toon. And this would be partly why. Oh yeah.
Expression session by the Milo Skip Barber there, taking all sorts of strange lines. A little bit of left hand down, a little bit of right hand down.
Yeah, a little tour of the Scottish Highlands. They can take his racing line, but they can never take his freedom. So Alex John, with 4.5 laps to go, be pretty pleased with the 5-second lead he's built out and managed to maintain over this. Dance and McKellar battling pretty hard over second and third there. Neither got quite the result, I think, that they would have hoped out of race number 1. 7th and 6th.
Looks like Schultz and Snell there. One taking the high line, one taking the low line.
Darren Tune behind in the darker machine on the attack here. Track just immediately drops away on the exit of 1 right as they're turning into 2. You want to get back across that left-hand side of the road to make sure you get the good arc through the tighter turn number 3. This is where these guys are all far too nice to that curbing, nice to the gravel on the exit. Ben Snell just having a right struggle with that since the pit stop, it seems. In fact, he kind of did earlier in the race as well, did he not?
Have a quick look at the side pot there. Plenty of paintwork missing as well, as a lot of stones have been kicked up over the course of this 30-lap race. Virtual Racing School replay as we jump on aboard with Alex McKellar with that very recognisable 8-ball number 3 helmet. You can see in the centre bottom of your screen, getting the job almost done here on Cam Dance, getting a run down the outside, taking a big dive under brakes, positioning that car brilliantly so he just blocks Dance's run on the exit and getting the job done.
I think that that helmet was the one Ricardo ran with McLaren in the Martini throwback one off at Monaco, something like that. I think it was sort of a retro throwback helmet for Danny Rick. So, with the laps counting down, now 2 to go for Alex John. He's got to worry about the traffic a little bit. I think he's cleared all of it. It's all the remaining spots that are in contention. Why is Cam Dance back in the pit lane for a second time? Dance out of the battle for second. McKellar is going to grab that one. Now this is the battle for third instead of fourth now. 2 to go. What's happened for Dance?
It would be too late for him to actually serve a penalty from speeding in pit lane, so it must be a mechanical or a miscalculation of fuel to potentially see him dive into the pit with 2 laps to go. Very, very strange.
It'd have to be, but that's yeah, confusing mistake to make, and it's cost him big time. Out of battling for second, right back into 9th place. Things are all kicking off for this final podium spot. They're going to see the white flag. Schultz and Snell side by side into 1 and 2. Who's going to give? It's going to be Darren Tune because he thought 3 wide, let's not. Snell wants that spot back, gives plenty of room to his teammate this time, and then maybe parks it a little bit down the inside of 3.
Pretty safe to say these 2 miling cars are talking to each other, so it's going to be making it very, very difficult for Tune to get the job done. But if they keep driving like that, throws out a window of opportunity that doesn't have to last
does it
twice.
Again? Tune might pick up on this one. Snell hopping and bopping across the grass. Darren Tune gets squeezed and can't go down the middle like he was thinking. Schultz, I think, will have this one, but all the way up front, Alex John clean sweeping the opening round. His teammate Alex McKellar comes through the field. The top split TV 1-2, and it's a drag race 3 wide for the final step on the podium. I think Snell from Schultz from Darren Tune in that one, but oh so close, battling it out hard on the final lap.
I reckon Tune might have got Schultz even. So a short run to the checkered flag there out of the last corner. So Tune actually running out of time before the flag was dropped.
It's hearing from Dennis Hancock that when he parked the car, it was a headset VR reset kind of thing. So one of those little technical problems that can happen. VR's great when it works. Occasionally you have troubles with your headset like Dennis Hancock might have. No troubles for Alex McKellar as they take a very dominant feature race win there. Ben Snell completing the podium. Oh, so close. Barely a tenth between himself, Schultz, and Tune in that battle. Snell almost spent more time off-road than on track on that final lap as well. Sean Doyle, Tim Harris, Sean McKenzie, Cam Dance, and Neil Gardner to complete the top 10.
11th tonight, Nathan Verney coming home in front of Russell Clark. Brody Cook there in car 69 in P13. Matthew Harriott, Craig Kerman doing a good job rounding out your 15. It's Jesse White-Carrick in a position 16, new driver to the series car 777. Very distinctive car out there on track, so plenty more to see of that car throughout the season. Then we go to cars that are lapped down. Simon Clayson, John Snell, Vasco Zarowski taking 2 pit stops and, of course, being a lap down. And then Ira Felberg, car number 5, rounding out the top 20. Dennis Hancock, Darren Lasue, Leon Williams and Jeremy Bush there make up your 24. Those that will almost be classed as non-finishers, Ash Knowles and Braden Sagasar, some 25 laps down. So that wraps up what has been round number 1 of this 6-round World Cup Tour here in the Skip Barber Series for Ozicar. First time that these cars had been at this track, and the racing they produced tonight, I think they'll be back again sooner rather than later.
Look, I don't want to wind out any more cheap shots about the Scots, but did you notice, like, Queensland Raceway has a cafe. That sign had a cafe and bar for Knockhill.
So Queensland Raceway needs to up the ante.
Yeah, we're going to send that one right up the chain to Tony Quinn. Who needs garages? We need a better bar for QR. Look, we've got a couple of our drivers standing by to have a chat with after this first round, Season 12 of Ozicar Skip Barber Series. And we'll start with our favourite off-roader, Ben Snell. How'd you hold on to that podium, and how much grass and gravel is going to be in the grooves of those tyres?
Oh, I don't know about the grooves of the tyres. I think you should probably check all the air ducts and all the grills and stuff like that, because I have about half of England coming back to Australia with me in my car. But I ran out of fuel on my in-lap because Alex told me that we could go to 0 in these anymore, and this is the last time I trust whatever he says, because I ran out of fuel, and then obviously Cam ran out of fuel as well. So, and then me and Scolty had a ding-dong battle in the last lap, and I managed to come out on top.
Absolutely. You aware that this track is in Scotland?
Oh, same. I've probably just made a lot of people unhappy saying that, but yeah.
It's okay. I've heard enough Scottish people to know that even if they're angry, you're not going to be able to understand what they're saying. So you'll be in the clear on that one.
They just always sound angry, don't they?
It's more of a Glaswegian thing. This track's near Edinburgh, but regardless, I think it's a good track to have for Ozicar and the Skip Barber Series. Banging around 50-second laps, throwing it over curbs. Did you enjoy yourself?
Yeah, it is an absolute blast to drive. I made the mistake of the first lap I did for this car track combo was about 20 minutes into practice when I got on. So I had to learn real fast, and it is a extremely steep learning curve going around here. And I was just happy that I managed to find enough pace to play with the guys up the front end. But it is like the racing's really difficult because it's kind of hard to pass, and the passing opportunities you have, they're always going to be side by side. You don't have a clear just get past someone and go. So to drive around a lap, it's super fun, but the racing is definitely hard.
Well, congratulations. Looking to see you next round at Daytona Moto.
Yes, sweet as. I'll see you guys next week.
There you go. Ben Snell finished 3rd in the feature race. Stella McKellar in 2nd is with Jason Fewens.
Yeah, I can attest that Ben definitely was pushing those limits in practice too. I jumped on his stream and he was finding all sorts of off-track limits. So to come through with a good result there, the P3 in round number 1 was a good effort. But Alex McKellar, nothing taken away from you. P2 tonight as well. So a perfect start for the Top Split TV team here for round number 1 for the opening World Cup Tour. Can't ask for much more than that.
Yeah, I just need to learn how to qualify. I put in the wall in quali, so started a fair way back and had to fight every inch, tooth and nail. But, you know, it was fun either way, honestly. Very interesting to see everyone and how they approach learning a new track that's so, well, it's complex and technical and all over the shop. But it was a good night out either way.
So obviously patience paying dividend towards the end of the race. You managed to make your way through, and a very strategic pit stop there with your teammate towards the latter half of the race obviously worked in your favour, come out some clean air, and managed to have a little bit of luck thrown your way in the dying laps as well, with Cam Dance diving into the pits for a splash and dash.
Yeah, I was surprised by that actually, with Cameron short fueling obviously. I got a bit worried. I sort of got a bit of a hint early into breaking into the final corner a couple of laps before he pitted, because he lifted real early and almost ran up the back of him. And then I figured he must have been trying to save fuel. So, yeah, look, a costly mistake on this time, but certainly great to run some laps with Cameron.
And how did you find the track? Something that's relatively new to the iRacing service, so a lot of these drivers haven't done a lot of laps here. Have you had a chance to get some practice in before this evening, or was it a bit of a jump in the deep end and see how you sink or swim?
No, I did a little bit of practice during the week. I found it fascinating to watch how drivers evolve throughout the night, even just sitting behind Cameron for a couple of laps. I could see between the start and the end of the second race in particular, his line through the first sector as he bottomed out down the hill changed through turns 2 and 3, and adjusted as we all started learning the track. So it was fascinating to see how different people approached it and evolved over the night. And I think, you know, as we get more familiar with it, we'll see more and more of that going on, which is always interesting to watch.
Well, a lot of these corners are obviously blind, and a lot of faith in yourself and the drivers around you is very critical. But managing to come through tonight with the second place, I'll throw over the microphone. You can thank your adoring fans and your sponsors before we let you go tonight.
Short list of both, but look, thanks to my teammate AJ, who put on a great performance tonight to take out the night. Well done. He's a quiet achiever. He's got 3 championships, gunning for his 4th, and what a great way to start it. Friends over at Team Milo, of course, the Locked On iRacing crew as well, and the podcast there. Check that out on Spotify, Apple, iTunes, and all your usual pod-catching places. Each and every week, it's a great listen. So, other than that, mate, thanks to you guys for putting on a great show. Looking forward to watching it later.
No dramas. You'll be able to pile those Skip Barbers back in the transporter and head off to Daytona, where we'll catch up with you again next week. So great job tonight. Well done. And great start to what is going to be an exciting season.
Yeah, thanks, gents. Good night.
Second place getter tonight, and our middle podium position there, car number 73, Alex McKellar. So
Can I drag you on that? Think about it. On a podium, the middle spot's actually the winner.
Technically, you're not wrong.
Sorry to derail that. Let's go on to our winner, Alex John. Of the 3, the second place man we were just speaking to. I know what you mean. All right, let's get him. Our winner, Alex John. Clean sweep of the opening round of Season 12 here. That's a good start to what's always a pretty short, sharp championship in Ozicar Skip Barber Series.
Yeah, it is. That was a really good night at the races. I seem to have an affinity for quirky, small British tracks, and it was great fun.
You'll be asking them to scan Anglesey.
Yeah, Truxton. Look, there's a whole list of tracks that I need them to get in there. I have to put a bit of money under the table, I think.
Sainsbury Car Park?
No, we won't go that far.
Fair enough. Well, clean sweep from yourself, progressing through from, race 1 into race 2. Your teammate Alex McKellar able to then come with you in the second race. Pretty promising signs for the team overall.
Yeah, really good for the team's championship. It's going to be tough because I've got to miss the next 2 rounds, unfortunately. But, yeah, we'll see how we go anyway. We'll just try and get some good results and see what happens.
Yeah, indeed. Going to Daytona Moto next week, a track that I don't see get a whole lot of attention. You're going to have some shiny new curbs in the bus stop as well. Still, it's going to be a lot of time at full throttle on a much larger track with a lot of slipstreaming.
Yeah, it is. It's an exciting track, Daytona. We used to have it as a season finale for another league we did years ago. And chucking the moto section in there as well makes it interesting. a weird little twisty section in the middle of the infield, and some really great drafting. You really got to pay your strategy on that, the long straight. Try and work the draft, but it'll be a lot more overtaking than tonight, so should see maybe a little bit better racing.
Indeed. So, any thoughts particularly about Knockhill here and elevation change all around, some pretty aggressive curbs? What was your secret to finding the speed and also the consistency, which is something I think people start to struggle with elevation change and tough curbs and that sort of thing?
Yeah, well, the first race, having Dance right behind me was pretty tough, but I knew that there was really only 2 corners that I had to get right, and the rest, it didn't matter how slow I was, he wasn't going to be able to make any passing attempt, and all of the difficult stuff where you could be a little bit slower meant that you could take it a little bit easier and play it safe. And then the second one, not really having the pressure behind, meant I just put my relative up and tried to just concentrate on hot lapping and getting better lap times lap after lap. But it's a great fun track, perfect for the skippy, tough to pass on, but really rewarding when you get it right. And the difficulty of the track can bring up a few mistakes and give you the opportunity, I guess, to make a pass. So it's really good. I like it.
Well, you're the form man for season 12, and shame to hear that you're going to have to miss a couple races, but congratulations to you. Cracking way to start the year.
Yeah, really happy to get out there, and I'll just go for wins now, and see how we go.
We'll see you when we see you.
Thanks, guys.
And that is just about going to wrap up everything from Knockhill here in the opening round of Season 12 of Ozicar Skip Barber Series. Really close racing, plenty of off-roading, some daring and brave moves down towards turn 1, 2 and 3. And I think overall, a track that might see a little bit more love in future in Ozicar. Go to Daytona next time out, and that is going to be on the banking, high speeds, big slipstreaming for these Skip Barbers. Jason Fewens, we're looking forward to it.
Yeah, it should be very exciting for us to come back again, and some new drivers in the field tonight, and then hopefully they'll be back again next season, ready to stamp their dominance and put in a good performance. And with that, we might just have a few new voices in the commentary box at the end of the round as well. So exciting times ahead. And Daytona, of course, will deliver some great racing out there, so it'll be very beneficial. Everyone's tuned into Simspeed again next week. We'll come back and do it all over again.
Yeah, exactly. And before we go, I've got to say thank you to people who make Aussie Car happen. Prestige Trophy Badge and Engraving, 24/7 Race Control, and the Locked On iRacing podcast. My episode's out now. I complained and nagged enough, and there we go. We got that. Thanks for joining us here on Simspeed TV for this new season of Aussie Car Formula Skip Barber Series. Really looking forward to what happens in the remaining 5 rounds. Wherever you're watching, Facebook, YouTube, wherever, make sure you're following us. You can catch us same time next Thursday at Daytona. See you then.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now. He's got traction. He's got rhythm. Both of them. Maloney. Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up top. Oh my God. Big crash. Oh my goodness. Half the field's going to get rolled.
Six very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, here we go. Oh no. That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God.
God, what?